to the heart of the ocean, where my soul finds completion in the water of your love. Your love, your love, your love, your love, your love, your love. Knowing love is the only reality in the universe. We allow this love to be who and what we are, radiate it out to everything as we walk through life. So we allow this to be who and what we are in truth. So be it, and so we let it be so, and so it is. So we have our spiritual thought for today, and that is our wonderful Patty. So Patty, I'm going to...
I already did.
Okay, great. I'm going to fix you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you, Cheyenne. I've been thinking about you. As Missy said, this week we have 3 new core values to contemplate. And I decided to pick the one that kind of rang for me was virtue. Mainly because it was used a lot in my studies of Kriya Yoga. But before I get into that, I wanted to recite a verse from the Dhammapada that says, "The fragrance of sandalwood does not travel far, but the fragrance of virtue rises to the heavens." Now, in the practice of Kriya Yoga, they call it a 4-fold practice. There's 4 parts to it. The first is contemplation. The second is meditation and prayer. The third is cultivating the virtues. And the fourth is a surrender and service. Now, the idea of cultivating virtues, it just had never occurred to me. I thought, either you were born virtuous or not. Coming up in the Catholic Church, it was like, oh, you were a good little Catholic girl or you were a sinner. And there was no in between there. But I really like that idea of being able to cultivate your virtues, just like you cultivate your flowers, your veggie garden. You cultivate friends and friendships. It hadn't really occurred to me that you could actually do that. It like I said, it's a fourfold practice, and the cultivating the virtues involves some of the 8 limbs of yoga, the observances, and I don't know why so many religions like to number things. We got the 10 commandments, we got the 4 pillars of Zen, we have the 8 limbs of yoga, but that's something I wanted to look into. Like, why do we have to number all these things? But it's really good. So cultivating the virtues is like a self-discipline. And when self-discipline through the cultivation of virtues becomes a spiritual practice, you become more aware of like the subtle understanding of the virtues. And with this greater understanding, you can move from the surface level of behavior to working with the subtle roots of thoughts, such as motive and intention. And, as practitioners of religious science, we know how important intention is. It really is all about intention. So what I'm going to do is try to make a list of what kind of virtues now this month, what do I want to try to cultivate? Where am I lacking? What virtues might help me make a better life for myself and my loved ones? Virtue is a weird one. Sandy was joking about, are you going to tell us, where you lost your virtue? No, not gonna. But that's not really the meaning of virtue. The virtue is self-discipline and knowing what is truthful and what serves the soul, and doing that with the best of intentions. So I'm going to close with a little bit from the Mishnah from Judaism. And it reads, hasten to do even a slight virtue and flee from transgression, for virtue attracts virtue and transgression attracts transgression. And so it is.
Thank you, Patty. That was so interesting. It's it was like when we were talking before, how each philosophy has a different approach to that, and I like that. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And Cheyenne, I think it's time for some more music.
Okay. This song was originally written by Jesse Winchester. It's called That's What Makes You Stronger. If you love somebody, then that means you need someone if you need someone, well, that's what makes you weak. But if you know you're weak, and you know you need someone, oh, it's a funny thing, but that's what makes you strong. That's what makes you strong. That's what gives you power. That's what makes the meek come and sit beside the king. That's what lets us smile in our final hour. That's what helps our souls, and that's what helps us sing. And to trust somebody is to be disappointed. It's never what you wanted, and it happens all the time. If you're the trusting kind, well, that don't even cross your mind. Oh, it's a funny thing, but that's what makes you strong. That's what makes you strong. That's what gives you power. That's what makes the meek come and sit beside the king. That's what lets us smile in our final hour. That's what helps our soul. That's what helps us sing. That's what makes you strong. That's what gives you power. That's what makes the meek come and sit beside the king. That's what makes us smile in our final hour. That's what helps our soul. That's what helps us sing. That's what makes you strong. That's what gives you power. That's what lets the weak come and sit beside the king. That's what helps us smile in our final hour. That's what moves our souls, and that's what helps us sing.
Thank you, thank you. That's what helps us sing. Yes, yes. Okay. Always takes me a while this morning to do all this pinning and unpinning and replace pins. Oh, now we come to the part in the program where I say, take it away, Sandy. Our wonderful speaker today is the Reverend Sandy West.
Thank you. Oh, it's such an interesting week for all of us with all the snow and everything that's going on. To just cope with all of it, I think that the topics that we've got this month are all coming into play. But I want to start with valor, personal bravery. And I thought about that, and I started thinking about more than just, in a war, which is when you usually hear it a lot. I started thinking about people in different aspects of their life. Someone who's abused, someone who's homeless. Thinking, do they have valor? Do they exhibit valor? Do they live valiant? And I begin to understand that if we're living, we are living valor, no matter what it is. We have to have courage. And it takes courage to get up every morning and face another day and not take yourself out of this world when things aren't going well for you. It takes a lot of courage. I can't imagine being homeless and on the streets, or being homeless in this weather with all this snow and this cold. And I've read of so many people that have passed because they've frozen. That to me is a horrific way to go. But to get up the days, if you're still alive, and keep on going, to go to a job you don't like, to go to a school that's maybe where you're terrorized or you're bullied, all of these things, to keep doing it takes courage. So in every way we have it. And it's something that we don't always realize, that allows us to be more than who and what we are, that allows us to grow, that allows us to evolve. It's an important concept to think about and to recognize it all around us. Instead of looking at someone as homeless and think, they're worthless or why do they bother, think of them as courageous. Whatever life has dealt them, they're still living. They're still dealing with it, whatever it is. And so it's a flip, which is what we do in New Thought. We take thoughts and we flip them in a way so we see the God in everything. We see the positivity in everything. We see the potential in everything. And it's very important that we do this, because in our own way, this is how we help make the world a better place. Vitality was an interesting one for me. Vitality is something that we have to work at in many ways. But there is a level of vitality in everyone that allows us to keep getting up every morning, that allows us to keep going forward, to keep moving, to keep living, to not commit suicide, to not have some kind of a death experience happen. So we have this vitality, and it's an energy. How much energy do we have is up to us. How we approach things, our mindset, how we think about things, it all matters. We program ourselves for how we're going to live, what we're going to do in our life, how we're going to be. The programming is always successful. So it's important that we know how we want to program ourselves, that we know what we want to be. If we don't like what we're being, we've got to do it differently. We don't do it over, but we do it differently. And in all of these sections, being in the now is important. In this now moment, I can change. In this now moment, I can live differently. I can act differently. I can be different. It's building new habits, new ways of looking at things, new ways of being. Yes, it's hard work. Yes, it's constant monitoring and constant work, reminding ourselves when it's not working that that's not where we want to be, backing up a step and looking at our lives, looking at how things are functioning. Do I want to be homeless? No. Well, what could I do? I could find a shelter, possibly. I could go into some place and ask for help. If I have addictions, I could walk into an addiction center and ask for help. Sometimes you get no's, but a lot of times you get yeses. And yeses that help you get back on your feet, that help you get into programs, that help you become more, become different. But if you don't take that first step, you'll go nowhere. And you have to be brave to take that step. It's more than taking a deep breath and then setting out. It's having purpose. It's looking for goals. Maybe it starts with, as a homeless person, I just want to be warm. I want a meal. I want food, something that basic. But to know that to do it, you have to get up, possibly off the ground, and you have to step out and go somewhere. You have to ask people. You have to accept guidance, a lot of different things. I think when you're homeless, there's a certain freedom. You're not living up to the rules and conditioning that we have in our lives. You're not doing like a 9 to 5 where you have to be there at a certain time, pick the kids up at a certain time, do something at a certain time. You have more freedom. And they talk about that when I was doing a lot of therapy with foster children. We had a lot of the foster children that would rather be homeless than in a home because they didn't want to live by the rules. They would rather be what they called free. So these things that we talk about, the virtues, the attitudes, all of it is different for people. What I consider free is not what a homeless person necessarily considers free. I know we have free speech, but there's certain things we can't do as free speech. You can't yell fire in a theater. Everybody's going to get hurt. So we have to understand that it's up to us to discern the qualities that we want to be, how we want to live. I don't want to cause harm. I've caused enough harm in my life. I don't want to do that anymore. So what do I focus on? I focus on being loving. I focus on caring. I focus on what I don't know. And if I don't know about things that are going on, how can I make a decision? How could I choose that it's bad? I don't know what caused it. I don't know what the experience was. All I can do is observe. And in the observation, I connect with the highest potential in each of those people, in each situation. It's all alive. It's all energy. We can connect with all of it. And by putting my focus on it, I connect. So I try not to focus on war. I don't watch all the news anymore because I don't want to connect with that negativity. I don't want that in my life. I know it's in my world, but I don't have to have it in my daily living. I can choose to be a light and a role model, an example of a better way of living, of a better way of doing it. Vitality gives me a power to grow, a power to be more, a power that we must wield. Let's see, what word do I want?
Wield.
Thank you. I was not taught phonetically when I learned to speak. So you'll hear me sometimes, the words don't come out right. So Missy helps me. So a power that you have to be judicious in how you use it. We think of power many ways as control, but think of it as being empowered. I am empowered to be more than I can be. I am empowered to be loving, empowered to be helpful, empowered to be a blessing in this world. It matters. It all matters. When my grandkids came up and evacuated me out, I couldn't have done that by myself. I'd still be there in the house with cold and no food. They got me out. They got me to a safe place because we help each other. That's part of what we do as humans. How do we help? How do we gift? The Bulls got to go to a friend's house. Patty was sharing how someone was helping her. This is how we come together with all of the core values that we're talking about. This is how we show our caring. This is how we show that the world matters. And that's what the core values are about. Recognizing what can make the world a better place, recognizing what we can do for ourselves to be different, recognizing that the world needs each and every one of us so that these things can play out. We're not alone in this world. We're all in this together. We come together to be a family, a spiritual family, to help each other, to love each other, to guide each other on our path. I may be a minister. That doesn't make me any better than anyone else. That's just what I chose to study. Someone else chose to study something else. So we each have an equal part of what's going on. What do I want my equal part to be? How do I want to live it? How do I want to express it to the others in my field? Lots to think about with the core values this year and last year. There's so many that I hadn't even considered or realized were important. And it's giving me a whole new view of what the world is, where I want to go, how I want to be. And I hope it's doing the same for you. So please, everyone, be safe in this weather. Love yourself enough to take care of yourself to be safe. Go forward and bless everything this week. Just drop blessings everywhere, including the snow, because we need the water. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. Time for our offertory. It's for those that get the eye focus, where it's in the eye focus where you can donate, but also in the chat box. Yes. And also in there is our offertory prayer. So if you join me in saying the offertory prayer, divine love flowing through me blesses and increases all that I give and all that I receive. And thank you all for financially supporting the Positive Living Center. And thank you for giving to your generous heart. It helps build the community, and it helps pay for all the extra heat we're going to need to, and what we'll have to pay to dig all that snow out. So thank you for giving. Thank you for your community feeling a part. And because that's what it's all about, community. And announcements, yes. Practitioner of the day is Patty Hummel. Yes, I love that finally Patty's finally doing practitioner training and finally becoming the practitioner that we all knew that she was anyway. And now she's yay. If I had a bell, I'd be ringing it. There's activities through the iFocus. Let me put this view into gallery so I can see if anybody's anything having to do with the women's support group. Any update on women's support group? Are you guys gonna, okay. The first Tuesday discussion group, is Bob Han online? Is anything with the, okay. Men's group via Zoom link. Is that, Joe Bull?
Hi, yes. I think we're probably still we'll be meeting again the second week of the month as we always do. I haven't decided yet. We're probably going to meet over the internet again, over the Zoom, just because of weather. But I will, I'll take a look at that and let the guys know.
Is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's usually Tuesday, isn't it?
Is it
It's
Tuesday?
second Wednesday, 6 to 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wednesday. My snow is still in my head. Wednesday.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
Wednesday.
On the line, flute circle.
Yes, I am intending to have a flute circle next Saturday. That's Saturday the 11th at 2. And I'll send out a reminder email today or tomorrow and pay attention to whether or not we can get in or not and let everybody know.
Okay.
But come, if you're thinking about it, come. And it's a good time. And it's followed by the drum circle at 4. And I don't know if any of these numbers are Judy or Brenda, but I haven't heard that it is being canceled. So
Okay, great.
plan on that as well.
Okie dokie. Bernie, you usually have something to say. Do you have anything to say today? Or just wave to us? Oh, okie dokie. Next week's speaker is the Reverend Bob Hand. And so that will be interesting to say because to listen to Bob Hand. So that'll be pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and join in with our hold on, because I usually put for people on Zoom, I usually put the prayer of protection. And I've been so excited about being the host today that I didn't put it in the chat box, but there it is. For those that don't have it in front of them, let's join together in the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God holds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. The energy of God is me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Before our closing treatment, does Cheyenne have another song?
Yes, I do. I was just trying to hit that unmute. Okay. When I am down and oh my soul so weak, troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly. But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Wow.
My heart. My
Yeah.
heart. Thank you for that wonderful song. I mean, I was singing along with it. You raise me up. You raise me up. Thank
It's such
you.
a beautiful melody.
It,
Yeah.
it,
We need to be-
Yes.
but it was your heart that just connected the consciousness within the song to us all. Thank you. You brought a true communion of the Christ to us all. Thank you, Cheyenne, for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blessings.
Blessings. And usually we would, usually the Reverend Sandy would do the closing treatment, but she has asked me to ask Angie to do the closing treatment. So Angie, if you could close us today.
I'd love to. I think today was an expression of our magnificence. And as we go forward, I think there's an impulse by the divine presence that our magnificence shines in all that we do. So we're here on this plane of existence to experience all of its creations and to learn and grow from it. So today, I just want to say we're grateful for this. We're grateful for the experience of knowing what that love energy is all about. We're grateful that we are able to express that magnificence of our eternal presence right here, right now. We know that that which we're grateful for expands in our life. So we're grateful for this church. We're grateful for all the living presence that exists in this, and we are also grateful for all the activities that bring us closer to the divine.
Yes,
And say with me loud and clear, and so it is.
and so
And so
it
it
is.
is. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Missy. Thank you.
Patty, thank
Love
you.
you.
Sandy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Diane.
Woohoo!
Oh my gosh.
Wonderful. Have a wonderful and safe week, everybody.
Fabulous, fabulous service, you all. Fabulous.
And
Just
Everyone